Well, I got the bike all straight and got into the tuning part. Uh, the tuning has been kind of a fiasco, and that's probably my fault. But I called around in Virginia, where I'm at, and never really had to tune anything like this before, of course. But the last time I got it tuned, I got it done at a particular Harley dealership, and I'm not sure I'm gonna name them because I'm just not trying to dox anybody that had any issues. But that particular Harley dealership that tuned this bike when it just had the Vance & Hine exhaust and the intake in the Power Commander 5 did a good job the last time I had it, probably early 2017, about a year after I had the bike. There's a young guy there, had just started working there. He came from kind of the street bike community, and he seemed really into it and knew what he was doing. And I had great luck with him. The bike ran perfect ever since that point. So when I started calling around this time, I know this is a completely different animal. I called a lot of places, and I was either turned down immediately because, oh, we don't touch Harleys, we're nothing but street bikes. Couldn't even get the words out that it had a Procharger on it. Or I got pushed to somebody that was much further away, which I didn't really want to drive hours to go get the tune done. And all the Harley dealerships, I couldn't even get anybody on the phone, unfortunately, I guess for other reasons. But this same Harley dealership that I took it to last time, I had good luck with them, so I set up an appointment with them, and they were like a month and a half out. When I called them and set up the appointment, I was like, I want to talk to whoever's going to tune it because it's a bit of an oddball case. I want to make sure they're comfortable with doing it. Kind of got pushed around. They don't have time. They don't have time. You need to come up here. So I drove an hour up there. When I was there, I got told the same thing. The guy was too busy to talk. Not the mechanic's fault or the lead Harley tech, I think is how they described him. But, whoever was in that managing him was determined that it wasn't worth his time to stop what he was doing and come and talk to me. So kind of got forced to just wait until I showed up. I'm not sure if I put those videos in there. If I did, I'll try to blank out who it was. But I got up there. The guy did immediately tell me he was uncomfortable tuning the bike. He'd never tuned anything like that before, and I guess I let hope get the best of me, trying to get this thing done. And so I should have just stopped right there, but I didn't. So I got him to put the bike on the dyno. I asked a million times to go back there with him on the dyno just so I could not watch over his shoulder, but just so I could monitor the health of the bike with it having all of the stuff on it, watching the temperature on the Procharger and everything. because I know I'd rather him focus on the tuning and not have to worry about all the safety stuff on the bike, keeping it in good health. But of course, I was turned down, insurance reasons, you name it, whatever it is. But so I sat there and basically listened from the outside the best I could to hear how things were going. The first thing was he was going to put it on the dyno for 2 hours, tune the lower end stuff, and just kind of go from there. And once it started to build some boost, if he felt uncomfortable, he would stop. And I don't know anything about tuning. I've never even opened up the Power Commander software until recently when I uploaded this map. It was the first time I've ever done it, and that's my fault. I should be more in tune with tuning this bike, but it was one of those things I didn't know anything about, and I figured I'd leave it to the professionals, and I probably still should. But like everything that I do, I can't ever get it done how I want it done, and I end up trying, just diving headfirst into something and doing it myself. It may not be perfect, but at least I know I'm doing the best that I can do. But I don't know, he started tuning it. It sounded like it was going well. I told him it was really rich from the base map that I got sent, which was normal. And so he tried to get it back to the best ratios he could. I think he had the line set on 13-1, which is kind of standard for what they set it up for. And he tunes it and tunes it and tunes it. And then for some reason, the battery died. Not really sure why, but we ended up putting one of their lead acid batteries in it, figuring out the bike was charging. So he continued the tune on that, and then finally at one point he's like, well, just come back and check it out. So I go back, I check it out. He makes the pass. You probably saw the pass. You can see flames coming out the exhaust pipe. It starts to break up a little bit. Wasn't making the power it should be making. Just none of it seemed right. And again, I should have stopped there, but I was like, yeah, we'll keep going. And one thing led to another. And at one point, all I heard was it was lean popping, and then just stayed in the throttle and pop, 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 pop for a long time. So I was like, you know what, let's just call it. Something's not right. It's just not right. And good on them as far as I didn't get charged for that, because it was just a fiasco. And I'm just going to chalk it up to that. So I brought the bike home. That was on a Wednesday. That night, I took the battery out, charged it. It took a charge fine. It's a lithium battery from Battery Tender. I haven't had any issues with it. It's probably only 3 years old, 2 or 3 years old. It charged overnight, and it was fine the next day on Thursday. So put the battery back in the bike, fired it right up. It was charging. It was keeping 13 volts, 13 plus volts. So it seems fine. I'm not really sure what happened with the battery. But I was like, I'll just go out for a lap around town. I've got that wideband sensor on the front cylinder, which I should probably put it on the rear cylinder. I made later on today. But I figured I'll just go see what it looks like. I took it down my road, less than a mile, and every time I got on the throttle, it just shot up to 15-1, got off the throttle, went back to 13, get on the throttle again in second gear, goes up to 15, 15 and a half, almost 16-1, just as soon as I get on the throttle. So I was like, you know what? For one, I don't even know how this bike has survived that much time on the dyno if as soon as I'm getting on the throttle, it's 15-1. And it felt wrong. So I turned around and came back immediately. And I started looking at the map that I got from the Harley dealership versus the map I got sent from TTS. And they were just completely opposite. The TTS map was rich in just about every scenario with the new injectors, which is fine. That's nothing against TTS. That's how they sent it. I'm assuming it's to be safe. And then the map from Harley, man, it was like everything, every single block was a negative number. And I know I put the bigger injectors in there, but there was a reason that they're asking for those bigger injectors. There's no way that every block should be negative. So maybe later today, I'll shoot an email out to TTS and kind of show them what I've got going on, and maybe they can kind of steer me in the right direction. But I came back and I I'm calling up a bunch of places, a bunch of smaller shops, you know, I guess you call them mom and pop shops, but not big corporate places. And I either can't get somebody on the phone to even talk to me, they're, you know, 6 hours away from me, or if I didn't, you know, if we didn't do the work, we're not going to do your dyno, or no, that's something completely outside of our wheelhouse, we're not going to touch it. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that I just don't know about, but from everybody that I looked up and called, I'm having no luck with this thing. So for the time being, I'm like, you know what, let me mess with the tune myself. It's the first time I've done it. Let me just do some research. And once again, I'm diving headfirst in this thing and trying to learn as much as I can. So I've learned a lot in the past 48 hours about this tuning. I'm no professional tuner by any means, but I've learned a lot. And clearly boosted application is tuned differently than a standard naturally aspirated motor. But so with that little bit of knowledge that I have, I'm kind of going through the tune. I went back to the base map TTS gave me, and since I know that's safe, it's rich, and then I'm just slowly backing the fuel down in certain areas. And I know this is better done with the dyno, I know it's better done with data logging, and I know I'm not doing it correct. But I'm trying to get the bike up and going, and I don't know, it's a challenge, and I'm going to try to take it on. We'll see how it goes. But so basically every day after work, I'm coming home, pulling the laptop out, making a few adjustments, and then I go for a lap around town, and I'm watching the air fuel mixture gauge, and I was thinking, you know what, to try to do this with the most data I can without buying a bunch of stuff, which I know I should, but I'm just going to try to do it with what I got. So I set the camera up, and you may have already seen videos of that, or I'll put them in after this, from yesterday, and that way I can watch the RPM, I can watch what speed I'm going, I can watch the boost levels, my air fuel mixture gauge, and then the only thing left was throttle position. So I'll show you this in a minute, or maybe I'll clip it in right here. But I put a piece of tape around it, turned the computer on with the bike off, ignition on, and rotated the throttle until I got to all of the different percentages of throttle in the Power Commander software and marked them. So that way when I record it, I have the throttle position versus the RPM, and I can actually go to those cells and get a better, you know, idea of where to make those adjustments on those cells. And that's worked out really great. It takes a while, and it's not very efficient. I know it's not right, but it seems to be working. The bike is running much, much better. It's nowhere near as lean as it was, and I feel like, you know, I can't get any worse than what I had when I came home from that dealership. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm learning this thing from scratch. As you've seen on my channel previously, just about everything I own is old, it's carbureted, and I'm not even really good at tuning carburetors. But I just don't really deal with a lot of fuel injected stuff, especially not boosted applications. So this is completely new to me. I'm trying to learn it. And other than hopefully I didn't harm the bike, it's been a fun experience. I harmed the bike, meaning the bike didn't get harmed when it was at the dealership. So it seems to be running fine. I haven't done a compression check on it, but as I've been riding it, the thing still pulls like crazy. Going back to the dealership, the best number I got there was like 147 horsepower, I think. But when we left, or when I left the dealership, I did notice that the rear tire was just spinning on the dyno. Obviously, it was just a groove cut in the rear tire. And if you look at the video, he's standing off the side of the bike running it. The straps are sitting there flapping in the back. There was basically no pressure put down on the bike, on the dyno. So I can't even really trust that 147 horsepower number, because at the top of that graph, you can see it's dipping down and coming back up, dipping down, coming back up. So maybe that's the tire spinning. So I know the bike, at least spinning the tire on the dyno, is about 150 horsepower, which is well below what it should be doing, but it's a start. So I'm just going to keep cracking at it little by little. Figured over the next couple weeks, I'll just keep, you know, data logging in my way with the camera. I know anybody that is an actual tuner is probably just laughing, just cringing, looking at what I'm doing, but I'm gonna try to learn it. It'd be nice to know, get more experience with it, and I figured if I can sit here and tune it in a safe way, little by little, and get the bike 75% to where it should be, I can ride the bike around comfortably. And then later on, when I go back to Ohio to one of the rallies, the guy up there that's hosting the rally this year or next year, 2024, he's really knowledgeable at that. He's got a dyno. He's probably the guy I need to take it to. So worst comes to worst, if I can make it to the rally next year, maybe I'll go a little bit early, get him to look at that and actually fix my graph and tune the bike properly. But for now, unless I come up with somebody that really, you know, gives me confidence that they know what they're doing, that isn't all the way in Ohio, I'll take it to them. But I'm not having much luck right now, so I'm just gonna putt along, do what I can. From the bike being so rich, I'm worried that may have fouled the plug out, because now it seems like spots that were fine before, I'm starting to get a little bit of hesitation, just cruising speed. So to be safe, I went ahead and, while I was up there, got some spark plugs. I'm gonna change those out this morning. That way I just have a fresh set to start off with. Go test the bike again, make sure all the adjustments that I made previously were correct and not based on a fouled plug of some sort. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing. Hopefully I can, it's not been a great tuning experience so far, but hopefully I can make it a positive thing. So here we go.